Love and Thunder characters look so good together. This is one of my favorite mini poster designs. Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I like making things out of paper, and I like making things cooler. Especially my figures. Sometimes figures don't look all that screen accurate. All they need is a bit of touch up here and there to unleash their hidden potential. I also love using everyday tools and materials to recreate iconic scenes from my figures, so they can shine on my display. Subscribe to my channel and join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Last week, I fixed the No Way Home black and gold suit figure, and I also added the gauntlet and the cell phone to make him a bit more screen accurate. Check it out if you haven't already. Today, I'm gonna work on Korg. I never got the Korg figure from Ragnarok, so this is my first Korg figure. It's bigger than I thought, and it actually looks pretty impressive. The sculpt is pretty good, but if there's one thing I don't like about this figure, it's gotta be the legs. They won't go any closer. It makes posing a little awkward. Let's deconstruct this figure. There are a lot of molded details on the figure, and surprisingly, quite a bit of variety of paint and colors. Usually, it feels like Hasbro only uses 3 colors on each figure, but there are at least 7 different colors on this figure. The only flaw I see is how faint the blue is on Korg. It makes him look soft, resulting in a very undefined face. But all the details are there. So all I really need to do is to enhance the colors a bit to give the figure a bit more definition. So, can I make it? First, I'm gonna add more blue to the body to give Korg a more saturated look. I don't want Korg to look radioactive though, so I'm just gonna rub a thin layer of blue here and there. I usually test the paint on an area I don't care too much about. In this case, his back. It's not too bad. It's a little lighter than what I was expecting, but I like the vibrancy. So I'm gonna apply the blue to the rest of the figure. I don't need the blue to hit every crevices. Otherwise, it'll turn too blue. I still want the body to look rocky and somewhat natural. And to achieve a more natural look, I'm gonna rub a bit of dark brown onto the body to counteract the blue. One of the first things I learned in painting is that I could create black by mixing blue and brown. Okay, not this shade of blue or this shade of brown. But the idea is that I can create natural looking shading without using the color black. And in this case, the brown works well because an earthy tone like brown will always look good on rocks. Blue rocks, unnatural and fake. Blue rocks with a bit of brown, natural and organic. Okay, I take my previous comment back. I'm gonna use black. I'm using it to emphasize the cracks. I find the overall color a bit too soft and not rocky enough. So hopefully, the black can add a bit of contrast and bring out the rocky texture. I'm keeping the brush slightly damp so I can blend out any mistakes. Alright, next, I'm gonna rub the dark brown onto the leather bits, so they don't look too plain and look a bit more worn out. Brown is the second most dominant color on Korg. I want to spend a bit more effort on making it look good and less plastic-like. Alright, I think this is optional. I am applying a bit of silver over the silver bits to make them a bit brighter and further enhances the contrast on the figure. I'm glad Hasbro actually added the silver. Usually they skip over these details. I'm now going to rub a bit of gold onto the gold belt buckle to add a bit more shine to it, and a bit of gold over the other gold bits too. Then I'm adding a black wash over the crevices to bring out the details, so it's not just pure gold. Oh, I noticed that there are a few missing silver buckles on this gauntlet. I don't think it's necessary to add them, but I think they make the armor feel more functional and realistic. The fur on Korg is actually pretty neat. Hasbro added subtle shading to it, but I think the fur in the movie is a bit whiter and not as yellow. So I'm just rubbing a bit of white over it to eliminate some of the yellowness. And I'm gonna do the same thing to his furry non-boots. But I'm gonna apply less white here to keep the fur on his legs a bit dirtier. Alright, I'm doing the pants last because it's probably the most challenging part to fix. First, I'm rubbing a light blue over the pants to mattify the texture. Then I'm gonna outline the diamond shapes with the white. I wanted to skip this, but I'm going for screen accuracy, so I gotta do it. Okay, that wasn't fun, but it looks better. Gotta do the other leg too. Ta-da! Okay, that actually turned out great. Now I just have to darken the red patches a bit by rubbing a bit of brown over them. Now that everything is painted, let me add a layer of glossy varnish over the goat bits to make them more reflective. I'm also adding a bit of varnish over the leather bits to give them that leathery shine. Before I work on the head, let me just quickly touch up the weapon. I think it's a mace and a gun? I remember seeing Korg using it to shoot in Ragnarok. I like that the weapon's mostly painted and the colors they used are not bad. But I do want the weapon to look a bit more metallic. So I'm gonna mix myself a gunmetal color, using silver and black, and add the missing paint on the gun side of the weapon. I can only find minimal reference images of the weapon, so I'm just gonna do what feels right. I don't want the entire back end to be this color, so I'm just painting the parts that are extruding. Alright, and I'm gonna apply this color all over the other gray bits to keep the color consistent. Ooh, not bad, not bad. But now the goat looks a little fake, so I'm just adding a little bit of gold to make it shinier and more metallic. I'm gonna avoid painting the handle area that Korg's gonna grab onto. Paint is gonna rub off and it'll just look weird. Okay, here's the weapon all painted. Nothing drastic, but it looks a bit more metallic. You don't want to get bonked by it now. Alright, one last thing to fix. The face. The sculpt is actually pretty neat. It's just that his facial features kind of blend in too much. So let me rub a bit of blue over the head first. Gotta keep Korg blue. Then I'm gonna strategically add brown as shading to the head to emphasize certain areas. That doesn't look right. Let me blend it out so it's less distracting. Not sure if it's actually helping. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I can still fix this, I think. Let me add a bit of black now. The goal is to add more contrast to define the facial features. Please work, please work, please work. Hiya! Here's Korg's head all painted. Okay, the final version looks a bit muddy, but I feel like I can see his face better. What do you think? The bluer look definitely looks better. Hey, you can now support me on Patreon. I post quite regularly there, from behind the scenes updates to sneak peeks to video breakdowns. Top tier members will receive a DIY 3D mini poster every month. These mini posters look great by themselves, but even cooler next to other mini posters. I love making things, and this is my way to thank my supporters. The link to my Patreon is in the description box down below. Okay, let's look at the finished figure. Here's Korg all finished. At first glance, he kinda looks the same, but he's less yellow overall now, and has more of a cooler tone. The rocks look more natural now too. The pants look a bit bright, but that's kinda how they looked in the movie. Overall, everything just looks a bit more solid now, except maybe the fur. I might have overdone the fur, but I'm still very satisfied. Besides the awkward legs, this is actually a pretty cool figure. Sometimes figure looks cartoonish or a bit too toy-like, but Korg doesn't have these issues. There are lots of molded details and most of them are actually painted. My only complaint is that he's a little weird to balance due to the way his legs spread. Otherwise, Korg can easily pull off very natural looking poses. Alright, let's end it with the photo shoot. Korg is very photogenic. Sometimes certain figures only look good at certain angles, but Korg doesn't really have this problem. He just looks solid in every angle. I think it's because there aren't a lot of obvious joints on the upper body, so don't need to turn the figure to hide certain joints. I also like how big Korg is. He just has this presence to him. Another fun thing about Korg is that he can pull off some of the goofier poses too. These poses fit his character quite well, and he looks great next to Ravager Thor. These two are inseparable. Alright, give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. These two are next. I'm giving away 3 sets of the No Way Home props. Check that video out to learn more. Alright, stay inspired, and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you.